Okay, you're gonna have to use your imagination. Look at this Althea seedling. It obviously dropped from this Althea right there. And here's the thing about Rose of Sharon. Rose of Sharon are a great tree slash big shrub, whatever you want to call it, for our area. They are exceptionally drought tolerant. They're cold hardy. They are tough as nails. They bloom big, beautiful hibiscus blooms all summer, and they are just like the workhorses of the garden. The hummingbirds love them, the bees love them, and this is a seedling that dropped into this container. And the fun part about this Althea seedling is that I have several different colors of Althea blooming out here on this property, and so there's no telling what this seedling will be like. It could be the coolest color Althea blooms that we've ever seen, but we got to save it from this container, cut on it because it's obviously really leggy and overgrown. And the root system on this Althea is going to be very, very interesting. We got to disassemble this pot, take all of the spring things out, put in some summer things. I started some geranium from seed. We need to put those in there and just all together give this pot a refresh. Okay, here's our pot. I got this pot super cheap at an estate sale. It's like chipped and stuff, but I really, really like it. This is the stuff I put in there for spring. I had some Dusty Miller. I'll probably leave those in there. Some dianthus, some little violas. Those are past its prime. But this is the thing that I am most interested in, is this Althea seedling. I cannot wait to get in there and see what its roots look like. I'm fairly sure that this planter is also full of ants, but I don't know. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. These little violas, I'm gonna pop down here in the ground. They may set seed and we may have some violas come up in the next spring, but I guess we will find out. Got all kinds of weird stuff going on in here. Okay, let's take it apart. Oh my gosh, look at this thing. Look at the cuteness. Bob and weave, bob and weave, bob and weave, bob and weave. Very tricky to grab a pot when it's full of ants. Hey baby, go lay down. There's ants. Go lay down, Maple. Go. Shoo, 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 shoo. Go lay down. Go lay down. There's ants. Go. Now we're in the shade. Uh-oh. Gotta save him. Our praying mantis friend. Close call there, bro. Okay, I think I'm just gonna go with dumping the whole thing out and seeing what happens. Okay, that's not gonna work. I think we might have it. Yeah, I think that we have it here. There we go. Whoa. Here he is. Okay. That is definitely not as intense of a root system as I thought. That's all she wrote, y'all. Here's my Althea, baby. Over here in the corner somewhere. There's a low spot over there anyway. And if I'm fast, I won't get bit. That's the key with ants. You move fast. off to the infirmary we go. Y'all see that? You want it to be soupy. Like that. I don't want just some bone dry soil for this Althea to get started in. Mixing it, getting it soupy. Just kind of tuck in the roots down into the soil. I'm gonna give this thing another chop on the top so that it's not quite so likely to be blown down by the wind before it can root in. Because when these plants are tall like this but not well rooted in, it can just kind of move them around a whole bunch and make them really unstable until they've had a chance to get rooted in. And I really don't want to mess with staking it. So I'm trying to pack him in, give him lots of stability. Oh, but we are also going to do this number. So that'll help somewhat. There's our baby Althea. I don't expect this Althea to make flowers this year. This won't do anything this year. In fact, some Altheas don't flower until their second or third year. So we might not know what the heck this is. My hope is that by chopping the top of it off like this, I'm going to encourage some growth down here to make it a little bit more bushy, a little bit more full, instead of just like straight up out of the ground like a pencil, like it was doing, which it was doing because it wasn't getting enough sun for an Althea. Althea is a full sun plant, full stop. In order to flower, it's best. Y'all saw one that's right in front of the porch that's in part sun, and it does okay, but it doesn't flower anywhere near as spectacularly as the ones that are in full all day 360-degree sun. That one does okay because it gets nailed by some very strong afternoon sun. But if it were in full sun, it would act a little bit different. Same thing for this. So we're gonna put it, I'm over here by the plant infirmary. We're gonna put him over here. Last thing that we're gonna do before we wrap it up is I wanna show you guys how to bump a plant up out of its pot. So let's say that you have a plant that's in a pot and you're not ready to plant it out in the landscape because you're worried about it for some reason. And I don't blame you. Now that it's June, it becomes trickier and trickier as the season goes on to plant a plant and get away with it, right? So our temperatures start to become so extreme that if you put a plant in the ground, sometimes no matter what you do right, it's gonna die. And as far as trees go, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, plant what you want, just know that you might lose it. Trees are for fall planting in Texas, right? In spring, we go from very cold to very hot so quickly. We have a pretty short spring. Like, it's only really beautiful for like 5 or 6 weeks before the heat really starts to come on, before the humidity really starts to come on, before the rain slows down. So if you plant a tree in spring, it is more likely to struggle than a tree that is planted in the fall. So if I'm planting a tree, I'm probably going to do it in the fall, if I am like financially or emotionally invested in said tree. If I got it on clearance and I'm just like, whatever, yeah, I might throw it out in the spring. But let's say that you're in that situation. You have a plant that you need to carry over through the summer and into the fall, but we need to bump it up out of its current pot size because it's getting root bound. And the more roots that are taking up the inside of the container, the less likely it is to retain moisture, right? Because now we have all these roots, not as much soil, so it's not as cool in there, it's not as moist in there, and the plant will start to struggle. I have several trees that need to be potted up here pretty quick. I'm going to show you how to do one of them, just so that you have an idea of how I pot up plants and the way that I keep them through the summer months. Let's take after this crabapple because I know that it wants out of this little 1 gallon container. I got these trees as whips from the Arbor Day Foundation for doing a tree survey, and I'm making some kind of little donation I can't remember what it was, $10 or $15, but either way they sent me 10 whips, which is a pretty good deal in my opinion. So when I saw that mailer come in the mail, I immediately filled them out, sent them a check. They sent me these trees. They sent me some dogwoods, crab apples, hawthorns, eastern redbuds, and a few crepe myrtles. I'm not a big crepe myrtle fan, but whatever. A free tree is a free tree, right? What I want to do is pick a new container that is a couple inches wider and deeper than this current one. Here's the state of our crab. Not that bad, but I want to go ahead and get this taken care of while I'm thinking about it so I can show y'all. As y'all can see, a couple inches wider, couple inches deeper than the current pot. I could actually even go bigger than this. Let me see if I have something bigger. Okay, I do, and I'm going to go ahead and use something a little bit bigger for this tree. It's a tree, like, it's going to love all this extra room, extra moisture, extra soil all around it. So let me go ahead and get some soil going. I'm gonna go get some plant tone, hold on. Okay, funny story about this plant tone. I have a big bag of plant tone, right? And it had busted open. So it's just kind of like laying busted open in my shed. And I went to get a scoop of it, right? So I went into the bag of plant tone and I just went like this and cupped it in my hands like this, and proceeded to walk to wherever I needed the plant tone. I can't remember what I was planting, and I just like dumped it in the hole, right? And out crawls a huge scorpion. I had just been kind of like, he was in the fertilizer. I had just kind of been like holding him in my hands while I was walking, and he just kind of like hung out until I put him down. The thing that I'm going to do with this guy, I'm going to go ahead and put him in here and then start filling around with soil like so. And I don't want y'all to fill this container all the way up to the lip. We want a little bit of a lip, like ½ inch to a full inch of a lip, because if we fill this container all the way up with soil, it is more like when we water, the water will run off, right? So we want a lip so that the water will stay in the container for when we come by with a hose. Then I pop my pot out, take my tree, and I can just drop him in there like that. And I have a perfect match. The thing that I don't want to do is cover up this tree's root flare, and I also don't want to plant it too deep in the pot so that water gathers around the crown of the plant. That's not what we want. That's just asking for trouble. And since I already have some mulch in here, I'll just come by and mulch it. I get asked on TikTok sometimes when I talk about mulch if you should mulch your container. You should mulch anything. Mulch is like magical touches of gardening in Texas. If you can mulch really thickly with wood chips, your flower beds, leave the leaf litter in place, put lots of like a really thick cover on the soil. I use wood chips. But if you can cover your soil with wood chips every spring, they break down and feed the soil. But not only that, when the sun is not able to hit the surface of the soil directly, your plant roots are so much cooler and the plant itself is so much happier. A lot of plant stress just comes from like our Texas sun just baking these roots, and it's very hard on the plant when that happens. That is it for today, y'all. I will see you next time, and let me know what plants you're trying to carry over all the way through the summer in a pot and what your tactic is for doing that. By the way, everything that I keep in a pot over the summer, dappled shade or morning sun only. I don't put them in full sun all day long because it will cook them. Y'all have a good one.